let's get around two. Yeah. So I got the SAM-5 here. This is the Bulgarian weird AK they made for NATO purposes. It's the AK that isn't. The actual military designation's like AR-1, I think. And what this is, the SAM-7 to an extent as well, is a milled receiver 74 in calibers that the modern Bulgarian military would actually use. In this case, instead of using 5.45, it uses 5.56, although the SAM-7 just uses regular communist 7.62. The modifications I've made since purchasing this that did not come from the factory was this came with a very generic foregrip, or I guess it would just be handguard. And I wanted to get rid of that old 74 style thing, put on something that I can make use of. So I got this quad rail from Midwest Industries and put a Moe grip on it. Additionally, I switched out the safety selector for one of the Krebs custom ones for milled. But that's all I've done so far, and there are quite a few issues with this. However, I just want to note the foregrip does not interfere with the magazines at all. So let me get some thoughts. So this good old Bulgarian AK has some issues. Most notably, it is technically designed, at least this version, for 223 Remington from steel case ammo. And I have seen a lot of posts on like Twitter, Reddit and stuff where people are saying their guns are beating themselves to death. I shot a little bit of green tip through this, and lo and behold, I did have a bit of wear on the paint. It didn't quite destroy the metal like I've seen some other people after, say, a couple 100,000 rounds. I haven't put more than like 2 mags of green tip through this so far. And seems like 223 is fine if it's from Wolf, but with the current Biden-era ammo ban of Russian imports, no one's in a rush to make steel 223. And these magazines, there is no 5.56 standard for AKs. Everyone kind of just does their own thing. If I'm not mistaken, Palmetto State Armory does use a very similar standard, so the magazines they sell with their 5.56 that use Rockin' mags should work. I forget what brand it is. I think it's like AC Unity. And that should work fine. However, other ones, you're going to have to like look up a chart. There is a chart in existence out there, but if you have like an old Russian Saiga 5.56, the mags I do not believe work on this, and vice versa, obviously not. Yeah, I'll put the whole list on screen right now, actually. So it's been brought to my attention that technically I have not done any AK content on the YouTube channel before. I did post a little bit on my Twitter, but that was a while ago, and I think most of my followers don't even know about it. So yeah, I guess I did post that YouTube short, but let me go over it anyway. So this is an AK, not the most stereotypical version of it. It's actually kind of atypical, but not as much as some. Generally just a few things. Safeties here, this here. By standard, these don't lock open on last round. This is a dust cover, comes off. Doesn't actually do anything aside from keeping this from maybe rubbing against your face or getting water, mud in it. But you can shoot it like this as long as you're careful. You don't smack yourself in the face with it. It doesn't hurt the gun. And it uses a long stroke piston that goes all the way up to here. It's all attached in one piece as opposed to a direct impingement like an AR where the gases run through a tube, or a short piston where it uses a spring-loaded thing here or so that pushes on the bolt. The bolt and the piston are one and the same. Now, this is pretty stock. The only thing I've changed is this. This is a standard US compliance grip and fixed stock. As a matter of fact, this isn't even an assault weapon in a couple states. It even has a comp instead of a flash hider. So I have also taken the liberty of putting a mag pull sling on this point instead of the recommended one. That's just my personal preference. You do not have to copy that. When you're doing your slings, do them how you want, how it's comfortable for you and you can use. But needless to say, let's get into magazines, all right? So you may have noticed that these mags rock in instead of locking with a button like a modern AR pistol mag. I didn't mention that previously. Also, these things don't accept mag loaders. You can't just go boop and load 10 at a time off a stripper clip. You have to do this individually. So if you'd be so kind, I will be right back to do that. Well, without further ado, let's get started. You guys ready? This is going to be loud. I'm not done the mag. I'm just commenting on the fact that that just blew the brass a good 20 feet that direction. I guess it's steel, but damn. I'd heard some issues with people on Twitter, Reddit, and other social media that these SAM-5s produced between the years of 2020 and 2022 have been having issues with their pistons being too loud, too hard, and they're basically saying that the pistons will destroy themselves. What I've been told is that this steel we're shooting will be fine, just a little harsh. And by how far they're shooting that way, I'd say I might want to put in the custom piston. Because this is a 2021, and when I was shooting green tips before, I did have some issues. But let's get back to the main event. Alright, there is no hold open, but we are out. So after I looked at the footage from the last mag, I decided to move the camera to a side view so that you could get a better look at the gun, not just me. Additionally, while I was doing that, we had a minor wardrobe failure. This just had to be tied because it snapped. Should be fine. Now let's get back to everything else. I got 2 mags here. Let's see if this runs properly, okay? Good? Yep. So, one good thing about this is, well, let's just say this thing can take a lot. It's really funny. This gun just jammed. So, the issue we're having here is a round stuck in the chamber. Round stuck in the chamber, another round trying to get in. So let me fix that real quick.
A few minutes later.
Alright, I am definitely going to contact Arsenal sometime. Maybe look at a K&S piston. Because that has not happened, that is something that has happened before. That is not the first time that's happened. And I had expected it not to happen with these, but if it's happening with these, it's definitely something quite not right. Let's get back to it. Let's get around 2. We are smoking. God dang. We are locked closed, baby. But we are out. This thing took less of a beating than it was supposed to before capping out, which is a problem because this thing cost a lot of money. And let us just pray that our arsenal makes things right. Hold on. Okay, all fixed. I'll contact Arsenal, see if they get this fixed. Hopefully this doesn't maintain itself as a long-term issue. And I'm gonna try to get this thing fixed. Ow, mosquitoes. Hold the fuck on. Okay, sorry about that. It's more or less good. So yeah, little smoking hot, not too big of a deal. Probably needs a bit of work from Arsenal before reaching a reliable glory. This thing has jammed a little bit too much for me to use it in a self-defense scenario. What I do know is the receiver can take a beating. The main issue I'm worried about is this gas system. But without further ado, let's close out here, alright? So, I put the gun down, kind of hot, out of ammo, not very happy with it. Let's take the time to talk about it. So, those things cost like twice what a normal AK goes for. Those things cost, before taxes, $1,800. That is like their MSRP. It's a little higher, a little lower, I'm not sure, it's around that price. For something that doesn't quite work, that's kind of awful. I mean, you could get 4 ARs or 2 AKs and still be a decent amount over that one. And those are going to work fine. Your little cheapo Palmetto builds are not going to have the same issues we've experienced here. Hell, this is steel ammo. This is low power and easy to extract for an AK. Shooting this with actual duty rounds like brass, I've had issues with that before. I had given it a pass because, oh, maybe it's an AK and it's not built for brass. Maybe it's just because it's brass ammo. But no, yeah, I don't mind the locking closed as much. The locking closed is like kind of okay for AK. It happened a lot earlier than it should, but when it comes to AKs like doing things, that happens on high round counts. 90 isn't that high, but it's high enough to be okay, reasonable. Wouldn't like it to happen in a fight, but I'll accept it as somewhat acceptable compared to the fact that this thing jams way too often. Like once in 90 for steel case, that's not terrible. I wouldn't trust it in a fight too well, especially since it did take me a hot minute to make sure it was ready to go again. And then when I shoot it brass, that issue happens several times per magazine. Now, I don't know what the issue is. I'm going to ask Arsenal to figure it out. If they fail to figure it out, I'm in deep shit. But in the meantime, that's enough complaining about quality control on my part. So, I'd like to thank you guys for coming out. So if you're new around here, take the time to subscribe. And if you want to keep up, I have a Twitter. You should go follow it. But yeah, thanks everyone for being here. Have fun.